Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the DisKingdom podcast. And on this show, I'm joined as per usual with Abe there in sunny California.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, everyone. And on this episode, we're going to kind of take a little bit of a different step, and we're going to be discussing security at the theme parks. There's been quite a lot of discussion over this in the last couple of weeks. We've seen metal detectors brought into Walt Disney World and Disneyland. We've also started to see mounted police presence at the parks, and also there's been some incidents happening recently, and a lot of people, it's been kind of a hot topic, because Disney have always tended to have security, but they've always tended to be hidden, and now they're being a little bit more open about that there is security out there and that you can see them, and they're being a little bit more visual, because on one hand they want to make people feel safe, and on the other hand, they want to make people forget about the worries and not worry about that it's a threat and it's a problem. It's a real fine line, and Disney are being a little bit more sort of open and out there and trying to show people. So what's it like over in Disneyland?
It looks actually a little bit it looks a little bit more secure than ever. I do remember something similar like this happening back with 9/11 happening here in the States a while ago. They basically ended up closing down attractions, some permanently, that were like narrow pathways or whatnot, where it could be dangerous. So I'm seeing something similar going on here unfortunately with a lot of mass shootings going on, and things that happened in Paris. There's just unfortunate that things are happening around the world. Disney's all about taking care of their guests and their fans and people on the resorts, and clearly these parks are popular, and so you're going to have a mass collection of people getting together. You're going to want to protect everyone there. So at Disneyland, they've added what I would say temporary metal detectors, and the only reason why I say temporary is because I feel like they might be, Disney's all about making stuff pretty and make it fit thematically, so I'm sure they're going to add some nice permanent ones later on. But right now, before at Disneyland, you had a bag check, security check. Then you would go straight to the ticket booths, and then you go into the parks. Now, after the bag checks, you immediately are met with some. It's an outside company. They're not Disney cast members, but they have metal detectors that you walk through, and then you also have the hand batons. And it doesn't seem to delay much. It just adds another 3 to 5 minutes to the whole wait, which is awesome, especially during the busy crowds during Christmas. They were doing really great. But aside from that, they've also added measures in the parks. You can no longer any adult, or actually 14 years or older, you can no longer wear a costume in the park.
Yeah, but that rule was, I think that rule was around for a while, but I don't think it was being enforced the same. It was, I think they've started to enforce it a little bit more, mainly with masks and sort of, I think that was the main reason they brought it in, but it's been in them for a while.
That rule was actually just for the masks, actually. You cannot wear a costume that would cover your face or that made you look bulky. This new added one is now they're adding an age limit, and they're talking about 14-year-olds and beyond. And because, who would use their child to hide something? But if somebody's in there to do horrid things, they'll do anything that it takes. So
they've also, I was going to say, they've also removed toy guns for sale from the parks. That's all going on. It's just been, personally, it feels like this is something that probably should have happened years ago, and I think it was just one of those things. If it just little things just crept back in. To me, all these things make a lot of sense. There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of, at Disneyland Paris, the last few trips you had to go through security, bag check, and through metal detectors like an airport. I always felt it looked, like you said, it looks ugly because it's always, and it's not being done by cast members. And I do think Disney need to just kind of get their own security teams in, get them, because I always found, like in America, when you went through bag check, it was always a little bit more pleasant. The French ones was a lot more, they didn't have that magic feel to it. It was just security. Whereas Disney, they were happy and they were talking to you, and there's a lot, felt different.
Right. Well, early reports have already been saying that this third-party company is definitely temporary. They have been saying that they actually are quite pleasant. They've actually been fitting with the cast morale very well. So a lot of people are really nice and happy and just greeting people nicely. So it is working out. Now, picking back off of what you said, the toy guns, the reason why they crept back in is because you have, especially in Disneyland, you have great attractions that incorporate guns. Like, for example, starting with old school ones, you have the shooting gallery in Frontierland. But then you also have Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters. You have the new Toy Story Midway Mania. I mean, you have all these little toy guns and cannons that kind of fit with your theme park thematically. But now, because of the risk and because of the danger, and you know, people can buy one of these guns and conceal a gun, and so it just makes sense not to allow those in the park. I did want to add something aside from the theme parks. They are also extending this to anything that has to do with the parks, including the Disney run events, all the marathons and half marathons. I have a good friend, Matthew, running it, showed me a new guide. Like, people can't wear big costumes anymore that have like that stretch out to the length below your knees, like robes. Like, you can't be a Jedi with a robe anymore. You can't be a princess with a nice puffy dress. It has to actually be up to the knees. I mean, they're just being really cautious and safe because that's all they want. They want safety. They want people to go and have fun at these parks and not to worry about a threat or an attack. And that's what's more important.
Yeah, so. I think this is the thing is that, you know, a lot of these changes, they sound scary. You know, they sound like this, you know, to put people off going. It's not there to put you off. It's there to, you know, they're up in their game in terms of making sure everyone's safe. You know, they don't want an incident there, and they're doing their best to make sure that doesn't happen. For me, as a non-American, you know, I hadn't really given it a lot of thought on my last visits, and it was the other day, you know, someone said, you know, people, you know, having to check in their guns, and you know, they've got licenses to carry their guns. For us non-Americans, and I know some Americans feel the same, it's scary. We aren't used to guns. Guns aren't, you know, you don't go buy a gun, you don't go into Walmart and pick up a gun. And the concept of having you being on Toy Story attraction and somebody actually being able to sit in the one behind you and have a gun on you scares us, right? And so that, because we're not used to it, we don't have, you know, our police aren't armed, you know, we don't have that, and we don't have that association with guns. So for me, and I think for a lot of other guests, international guests, will probably be looking at this, they will not have a single problem with this, because it would have not be anything that they would have expected it. But obviously, for America's got an entirely different thought process on guns, and you know, that's different from you.
Right. Well, what I was going to say, and I'm not going to get deep into it, it's going to get like extremely political and way off subject, but unfortunately, America does have an issue with gun control at this moment. It's a hurdle that we're trying to get through, and that's why that these measures have to be implemented in very populated areas, especially like our beloved theme parks. And not to scare anybody or to get, or you know, to tell people don't go to theme parks, but just to give somebody perspective. You know, last year the U.S. had more shootings than there were days in the year, and that's kind of scary. And so that's why we need gun control. And then one more thing is, the U.S. population is 5% of the entire globe, but yet we have 40% of the world's guns. So that is a scary statistic. And again, I'm not trying to scare people away, but that's why these measures need to be put in. We need to make sure that people are safe. When you go see the mouse, you don't want to go in there worrying about getting shot. No. And that's what they're doing. They just want to make sure that, hey, just in case somebody with bad thoughts in their head or bad ideas or bad objectives end up sneaking into the park with something and does something horrible.
It's not, sometimes to me, it's not even a case of it just being about it being someone actually trying to cause problems. So to me, it's just that thing of accidents. So, you know, you losing your gun while you go toilet and some kid grabbing it. You know, it's that kind of thing of, to me, it's like, why are you taking it into a theme park? I don't get it. I don't understand the process of why you would need, because it's not part of our culture here, and it's hard for us to kind of work to think about it. It's really difficult.
Again, I was gonna say, again, I don't want to get into it, but honestly, all it is, it's not even about conceal and carry. It's about threat of possible terrorist attacks. It's about some ill-tempered people. That's all it really is. They're trying to protect people, and you know, The cool thing about Disney, and this is probably the last thing we'll say about this. The cool thing about Disney is it's not even just about guns. Anything that happens where it could be threatening to people or it could hurt them, they always put the customer first. Whenever we have earthquakes out here, they shut everything down. They walk people out when there's, like, I'm sure, hurricane warnings in Florida. They do the same thing. They take care of people. When there was that earthquake in Japan a few years ago, Disneyland Japan, everybody stayed together. All the cast members were there just to make sure that all the guests were okay. That's all they're doing. They just want the safety for all the guests.
It's definitely, I think it's that thing of, they take it seriously and they have, a lot of things, and it's good, and it's exactly what you need. And it's like, when what happened in Paris last month,
Exactly.
From our point, it's like, people were saying, should we go? It's like, you kidding? It's probably one of the safest places to be over there would be, and I was looking at a trip to Paris. There's no reason, they are bringing in security measures to help. And I think that's there to protect everyone. And the more they bring in, the better, really, because that makes everything safe. It's when they don't, it's by them not doing anything is where the problems are more likely going to happen. But we'd love to know your thoughts on it. Comment below. Let us know what you guys think of all these actions and stuff. We'd love to know your thoughts because it's a very hot topic and everyone's got different opinions and stuff. But we'd love to know it. I want to give a big shout out to Ethan over at sorterapps.com and magicbandcollectors.com as well for being a patron. And remember, you do get early access to these podcasts through our Patreon before they become available to everybody else as well. Remember, check us out on Twitter and Facebook, and we shall see you guys in later episodes.
Thanks, guys.
Laters.
Bye-bye.
Laters.